Pitt Street Mall, hello. We're here today as part of a national day of action against radioactive waste dumps in South Australia and radioactive waste in Australia. And to open today, I'd like to pass over to Uncle Ken Canning.
Thank you. I can't do a welcome to country because I'm not from this land. I'm from the Bidjara people of southwest Queensland. I've lived here for many years, but I'll do an acknowledgement, and I do acknowledge the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, but I pay respects to all the ancestors past and present. And rather than just acknowledge, we've got to remember what happened in this land. This is the first point of impact. This is the first point where the colonial monster hit and attacked for its purposes of its corporate bodies. They always said they wanted to make a penal colony. The reason they selected this land was for trading purposes. Again, it was for the corporate bodies of that time to make more money. It was a financial decision that caused the invasion of our countries. And we have to respect all the people who fought on this land and all across the country. Every single nation has never been ceded. Every single nation. Now, not only did they declare war in 1788, they've continued the wars in many ways. We have the highest deaths in custody per population on the whole planet. We have the highest rate of children being stolen on the whole planet. We have the highest imprisonment rates on the whole planet. Now, they want to continue to dig up that filth called uranium, not only dig it up and export it, they want to bring it back and dump it on lands in Central Australia. This is Maralinga all over again, only a slow processing death. Maralinga was a quick flash. This would be a slow generational death that will continue on for 10, 20 generations. And they do not care. We're not dealing with a government that says we'll put stuff where it can't hurt anybody. Governments know people live out there, but they don't care because it's Aboriginal people. They don't care because it's First Nations people. They just don't care. And as the death toll rises, they will fill their own pockets with the capitalist money that goes into it. They're lining their pockets at our expenses. So money is more important to them than human lives. Now, growing up in an Aboriginal family, I didn't have to be told that nuclear waste was bad. I just knew. It was part of our own storytelling. There was stuff that was in the ground that was dangerous, and we knew how dangerous it was. We didn't have scientists doing examinations on it. We just had old people telling us stories. And we had old people who had much more knowledge. Because you've got to remember, the white man says we've been here 40,000 years. Our oral history says since the beginning of time. Now, to last even under the white man system, 40,000 years, we must have known something. And that something was to leave rubbish like that in the ground. To leave it in the ground. Look what's happened worldwide in Japan, Chernobyl, everywhere you go where the filth has been exported. Our government is trying to push it down the throat of the Indian government. The Indian government saying we don't want any. They're trying to push it down the throat of other governments. They don't want it. All our government wants to do is dig it up and make a magic dollar, and they don't give two stuffs who's dead in the meantime. Then they want to bring it back and again they want to put it on traditional lands. This is not good enough. This is genocide again by a callous government who's bent on the murder of Aboriginal people. Thank you.
Thank you, Uncle Ken. And today was chosen for the National Day of Action because today marks 63 years since the first inland nuclear bomb test that happened at Emu Field. And as Uncle said, people were dislocated, their lives were completely disrupted, their land was poisoned, and people are still suffering intergenerational trauma, intergenerational health impacts from being caught in those nuclear bomb tests. And people are still suffering today, and now the government is coming back and trying to build nuclear waste dumps on their country. We're here to look at two separate proposals that are earmarked for South Australia today. One is for a national dump and one is for an international waste dump. First, we're going to talk about the national dump, and we're very, very fortunate to have Wanella Mackenzie, who's an Adnyamathanha woman, a staunch, fantastic, deadly Adnyamathanha woman who's come down to speak with us. And she'll tell you her family's story about how they're fighting the nuclear waste dump proposed for their country.
Hello, my name is Wanella Mackenzie. I'm an Adnyamathanha woman from South Australia, Flinders Ranges. Unfortunately, the government has decided that they want to put a nuclear waste dump on Adnyamathanha country, right next to my family's personal property that we actually own. The place that they want to put it, I've got a small picture here of a painting that I've done of a dreaming story of where they want to put it, right under that hill. And what it is how the Seven Sisters got into the sky. So a long time ago there was a man called Vridni Yurana, and he is an old Yura, that means an old man. And he was in love with 7 beautiful women, the 7 sisters, and he wanted to marry them and make them his wife. So we chased them all over the country, all over South Australia and that. And along the way they made all the different landscapes. And they came to where they want to put this waste dump now, a place called Sisters, right next to the Ukna Creek. And they ran into a cave, and then they realised they ran into the mouth of a big akuru, that's the big serpent. So they called out to Arawatna, who was the creator, and they said, Arawatna, please help us. So we sent a big Owinyalak, and that means a big rain, and it flooded the country. And when it did that, it killed the big akuru, the big serpent, and the serpent passed away, and then it floated to the top of the water, and as it did, its body burst and they came out as stars. The serpent became the Milky Way, the sisters became the Pleiades, and the Ulfala was angry. So he was an old Urungi, that means clever man, and he became the Orion, and he went into the sky. And every night you'll see he chases him across the sky, but he can't see him because the big akuru's there. And we actually have a song for that, and a dance, and in the dance the older girls and the older women dance around the children, and they sprinkle the arara, that means the morning dew or the ice, and that's what Arawatna gave them the job to do. So every night when you see that ice coming on the ground, that's them. And the song, I'll sing it for you, Mob. It goes, hold on. It goes, Yaka nundu gurdli amangu nyoma nali abamba nyorambi 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 arapamarapa arapamarapa Yaka nundu gurdli amangu nyoma nali abamba nyorambi 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 arapamarapa. And that's that one. And then, thank you. That's not the only story that's there. It's actually in the middle of many, many stories. There's another story just to where there's another site that they want to put as well. And that's along Ukna Creek, and that's called Bibiawi Yungapurna. That means baby water. So a long time ago, there was an old mother and she had a daughter, and she was very interfering. And the daughter got married, and she ended up knocking her in the head and burying her in the humpy, and she would pretend to be her daughter and call out to the husband, and he'd come and check on her all the time. And eventually, when her body was in the ground, the baby water burst and the springs came out. So that water is very significant to Adnyamathanha women. You can go there if you're pregnant, and it helps you with your leg cramps. The mud in that area's got medicinal purposes. You can rub it on your skin. It helps stop the sting if you've got sunburn or sores. There's also a lot of bush medicine that grows around the area. I have a couple jars here today from my country. You know, there's native lemongrass and everything that grows in there, as well as all the animals. So anyway, with that story, there's the bellbird song. And that bellbird, when that young fella was crying for the woman that died, the bellbird came and sang the song. And as he flew over the top, he fanned the song so that it would float down to the young fella and comfort him. That song goes like this. Back to Idla, wanga wanga ma. 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 So in our culture, if someone comes along and does something like this to bury this nuclear waste on our country, when someone passes away, we can't talk about them anymore. They go to Kinjita, which is in English translates roughly to heaven or paradise. So if they bury this poison on Adyamatna country, we can't sing these songs anymore that I just sang for you. We can't tell these stories anymore. We can't teach our children, and we obviously won't be able to take them to country and show them on country that, you know, to teach them all these things and show them. And that's our main concern, is yesterday, today, tomorrow and forever. You know, not just for our children but for non-Indigenous people as well. We all share this country, we're all here together, we all need to look after it. And burying nuclear waste in our country is not the right thing to do. They already have a site called Lucas Heights here, not too far away. They can bury it there, they've got enough room. They don't need to come and put this amount of stress on Indigenous people out in the outback. It's not a wasteland, it's an oasis. It's our home. We love it. We've been there for thousands of years. We plan to be there thousands of more. Thank you.